Beep beep everybody. Today we're doing highlights from the 1983 Topps set. And I probably will use the word vintage in the title, but that's debatable. Some people say vintage ends with 1979, and some people say vintage ends with the beginning of the junk wax era, and there are some people that say vintage ends in 1999. So who's right? I don't know. I know that Beckett magazines, the ones that have that focuses on vintage, stop at 1979. So at least Beckett thinks 79 is when the vintage era ends. But then, back when we were collecting cards in the 80s, the 70s were not considered vintage back then. So it's like a moving target, I would say. So let me know what you think in the comments. Sorry, comics. And let me know what you think the vintage era ends. So the 83 set has 792 cards, just like the 82 set, and they would continue using a 792 card set all the way up through 1992. And in 93, they would max out at 825. And I believe in 94 they went back to 792, but after that, it varied from year to year. And these sets were much bigger than the current top set, which is at 660. As you can see, the design has an inset photo of the player along with an action photo up here. And I thought I read somewhere that the last time Topps did this was in 1963. So I don't know if that's accurate. You can correct me in the comments below. Pardon me. And let me know what you think. I think it's a really cool looking design. It's both modern and playful. The colors match the player's uniform, and the White Sox were using these strange looking uniforms here, and probably inspired somewhat by the oddball uniforms the Astros were using at the time. The 80s were kind of considered a period of like modernization, I guess you could say. Put quotes around that, or maybe modernism, I don't know. The backs of the cards have a sort of a orange-like color. You can see there's some darker here and lighter here. The text is in black. And when players didn't have a very long career, there was a highlights section under here which would give highlights from the 82 season. And there might be a blurb here. Players that had longer careers, this would be mostly filled up with statistics, and they would drop the highlights section and the blurb section the longer it got. So this was Harold Baines' third-year card. And here's Dave Parker. And this is clearly off-center. So they were still making off-center cards back in 83, and they continued to do so for quite some time. I mean, I opened up 2021 Panini Select and found some uncentered or not very well-centered insert cards in it. So, I mean, they're still having problems with centering on these cards. And here you see Parker's stats went on a lot longer, and they took out the highlights section, but they still retained a blurb on the back. Jim Eisenreich rookie card. He had a pretty decent career. Not pretty well known, but he did hit over 300 quite a few times in his career, and was known as a pretty decent hitter. But I don't think he had any all-star accolades. I'd have to look that up. Hall of Famer Rickey Henderson. Another example of an off-center card. Bud Black rookie card. Bud Black had a few decent years in the 80s. This is Mike Moore's rookie card. Another pitcher that had some pretty good seasons, but not anything worthy of Hall of Fame credibility. This is Cal Ripken's second-year card. And here's Lou Whitaker. Dave Stewart's second-year card. Tim Wallach's second-year card. They brought back manager cards. The first time, I think, since 1978. And here's manager Frank Robinson. And I think that's the only manager card I have to show in this video. This is Frank Viola's rookie card, and he had quite a few decent years. Pitched into the 90s, I believe. I don't know, but he might have won a Cy Young Award somewhere and all that. This is Tim Raines' third-year card. Steve Garvey. Hall of Famer Andre Dawson. Kent Hrbek's second-year card. Lee Smith's second-year card. Hall of Famer. Here's leaders cards. Like previous years, they continued to make leaders cards from league leaders from the previous season. The strikeout leaders were Floyd Bannister and Steve Carlton. And they give the leaders on the back, and Bannister finished the year at 209, a good 22 ahead of Len Barker, followed by Dave Righetti and Ron Guidry. And then NL, Steve Carlton battled it off with Mario Soto, and Nolan Ryan was a somewhat distant third place, followed by Fernando Valenzuela, who just missed 200 by one. The victory leaders were Lamar Hoyt and Steve Carlton, and Lamar won 19 that year, and Carlton won 23, the only 20-game winner of the 82 season. Steve Rogers and Fernando Valenzuela just missed 20 by one. Stolen base leaders, Rickey Henderson and Tim Raines. And Rickey set the Major League record that year with 130, way ahead of Damaso Garcia, who had 54. And Tim Raines beat out Lonnie Smith by 10 with 78. The home run leaders, we have a tie between Reggie Jackson and Gorman Thomas, and in the National League, it was Dave Kingman. And Reggie and Gorman would have 39, just missing 40 by one, followed by Dave Winfield. And Dave Kingman had 37, with Dale Murphy and Mike Schmidt just behind him. And here's one example of the Record Breakers card. This is the only example I've picked for this. And this was Rickey Henderson setting the modern record for stolen bases. The previous holder of that was Lou Brock with 118 that he did back in 1974. Here's Keith Hernandez. I believe this is his last Cardinals card. Here's Dave Winfield and Dale Murphy. Dennis Eckersley, still starting for the Red Sox. Hall of Famer Bert Blyleven. Clean shaven here, bearded here. Oops. Here's Jeff Reardon. And this was Jeff's first year as the closer when he had 26 saves for the Expos. Gary Carter. Robin Yount. Brett Butler. This is actually his second year card. I failed to include him in the 1982 video that I did, and I should have. Brett was a really great leadoff hitter. Could run, could field, not a power hitter, but had a knack. He was one of those scrappy players that had a knack for getting on base or making things happen. Carlton Fisk in his new White Sox uniform. They also followed the format from 1982 with batting and pitching leaders for the team cards instead of a team photo. And here's Joe Morgan and Bill Lasky for the Giants. And the backs featured a checklist that had their position and their uniform number. And the checklist was in alphabetical order. And here's the Phillies with Bo Diaz and Steve Carlton. And the A's with Rickey Henderson and Rick Langford. The Brewers with Robin Yount and Pete Vukovich. I'm not going to show every single team card. I'm going to just show the ones that have a star player on it. Jim Rice and Bob Stanley for the Red Sox. Eddie Murray and Jim Palmer, both Hall of Famers, on the Orioles card. Here's Leon Durham and Fergie Jenkins on the Cubs card. And Dale Murphy and Phil Niekro on the Braves card. Here's Hall of Famer Jim Rice. Fernando Valenzuela, this is his third-year card. Hall of Famer Jack Morris. Ken Griffey Sr. now with the Yankees after quite a few years playing for the Reds. Don Baylor. Hall of Famer Alan Trammell. Rookie card of Dave Dravecky. Rookie card of Willie McGee, who had a really nice career, I thought. He won 2 batting titles, I believe, including one year when he hit .353. And he had a pretty good rookie season, too, hitting .296. Not a lot of power, but he was good at running, and he was a great fielder, too. Here's Chili Davis's second-year card. This is the Gary Gaetti rookie card, who was a pretty good fielding third baseman for the Twins. Had a decent amount of power. Not a big average hitter, but a pretty decent player for a good chunk of his career. Kirk Gibson. This is his third-year card. Hall of Famer Eddie Murray. Hall of Famer Ozzie Smith. Now in a Cardinals uniform. His first Cardinals card was in the 82 Topps Traded set, but his first base card as a Cardinal is the 1983 set. Here's Hall of Famer George Brett with a soup stain on his pants. Hall of Famer Paul Molitor. Hall of Famer Rod Carew. And there were a good number of cards that had a second card that followed them in the set numbering. That Carew was number 200, and this is number 201, Super Veteran, which showed a photo of the player, I guess, in the rookie year, and a current photo, 67 and 1983. And on the back, they had like when their debut was, how long they played, their season best, some rankings and highlights they had, some awards they won, and a milestone date of his 25th 100 hit back in 1981. And here's Fergie Jenkins, Hall of Famer. And this is his Super Veteran card, 1965. And it shows pretty much the same kind of information. Hall of Fame closer, Rich Gossage. And this is his Super Veteran card. He had his debut in 1972 without his famous kind of, I forget what kind of a mustache that's called. He had his start with the White Sox. Hall of Famer Tom Seaver. And his Super Veteran card looks like this. There's a picture of him from 1967. And he doesn't look like he's changed a bit, does he? There's Pete Rose. And Pete Rose's Super Veteran card is this one, and a photo of him from 1963. Hall of Famer Johnny Bench. And his Super Veteran card shows him back in 1967. And I don't have all the Super Veteran cards, and probably not every Hall of Famer or star. This is just a highlights. I put these cards in these Ultra Pro card savery kind of things back in the 90s, and I didn't pick out every card back then, and if I were to do this today, I probably would add some more to this so we could see more of it, but we're just going to go with this for now. Eventually, I'll put these in top loaders because these bend and are a little flimsy. So Hall of Famer Carl Yastrzemski. And here's a super veteran card of him, 1961. Hall of Famer Joe Morgan. And a super veteran card of him showing him back in 1963 in a Colt 45s uniform. Pre-Astros. Tony Perez, Hall of Famer. And his super veteran card shows him back in 1964. And here's Tommy John with the Angels. And his super veteran card shows him in 1963. And here's Hall of Famer Mike Schmidt. And he has a super veteran card showing him back in 1972. Rollie Fingers, along with a super veteran card showing him back in 1968 without his notable handlebar mustache. And here's Hall of Famer Steve Carlton with his super veteran card showing him back in 1965. Followed by Don Sutton, another Hall of Famer. And his super veteran card shows him back in 1966. Phil Niekro, the super veteran card showing him from 1964 in a Milwaukee Braves uniform. And here he is with an Atlanta Braves uniform. Gaylord Perry, and I believe this is his last Topps card for his active career. And he has a super veteran card showing him from 1962 when he was with the San Francisco Giants. Hall of Famer Jim Palmer with a super veteran card showing him pictured from 1965. He played his whole career with the Orioles. Reggie Jackson, first Angels card on a base set. He appears in the 82 Topps Traded is his first card with him with the Angels. And here he is pictured in 1967, back when he was with the A's. And here's Hall of Famer Nolan Ryan. And here's his super veteran card showing him back in 1966 when he first came up with the New York Mets. Like the 1982 set, All-Star cards were separate cards. They did not put a banner on the regular player card like they did in 81, going back at least through 74. I don't know how far back that practice went. And these look like this, with a big star here, and the coloring is a little bit different on the AL cards. And on the back, instead of giving player information, they give information about an actual All-Star game. And this was the one from 1975 that was held in Milwaukee. And here's Gary Carter. Tim Raines. Andre Dawson. Dale Murphy. Mike Schmidt. Pete Rose, and here's the American League one, Carlton Fisk, or instead of red here and blue, they've got red text here and blue there. And the American League ones were very much similar. This one's about an All-Star game from 1940 in St. Louis. Here's Ricky Henderson, Reggie Jackson, Robin Yount, George Brett, Rod Carew. And now we get to the three most important cards of this set. These three rookies of three Hall of Famers that everybody, I think, can remember. And Topps counterpart, Donruss and Fleer, also issued these same three players in rookie cards that year. So these players each had three rookie cards. And first is Ryne Sandberg, pictured here with the Cubs. And you can see in 1981 he played 13 games with the Phillies, and the Phillies, being the boneheads they were, gave up on Ryne Sandberg and lost him. And here's the Wade Boggs rookie card. And Tony Gwynn's rookie card. So these three cards were the big ones of this set. You don't have Hall of Fame rookie cards in that number normally in too many sets, but this one you do. And they're not just ordinary squeeze into the Hall of Fame. They are genuinely exceptional Hall of Famers. 1983 also featured a traded set, just like the 1982 one. And similar to the 1982 one, it was a factory sealed set. They were not offered in packs, and you had to buy them from a dealer. And they were also numbered 1 to 132 with a capital T on the end, unlike the 81 set, which continued the numbering of the base set. And they look very similar, except one big difference is you'll notice that they look a little bit more brighter, and it's because they are on white cardstock instead of the usual gray cardstock. And you can see it's most notable on the back. So this is Tom Seaver's return to the Mets. And here's Don Baylor in his first Yankees card. Steve Garvey in his first Padres card. Keith Hernandez in his first Mets card. And Joe Morgan in his first Phillies card. And I believe he only played with the Phillies for one season. And I remember that season. Alejandro Pena, and this is his, well, I guess XRC card, but I consider it his rookie card, and I guess the base set in 84 would be his rookie card. He was a pretty good starting pitcher, and later on a relief pitcher, and had some pretty good numbers. I think he might have led the league in earned run average one year, but don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. This is Tony Perez's first Phillies card. So both Tony and Joe were on the Phillies organization. This is Tony Phillips' rookie card, and he had a pretty decent career. He was really good at getting on base. He had a lot of walks in his career. His numbers would get much, much better later on in the late 80s into the early 90s. And this is Julio Franco's rookie card. And if you notice, Julio played with the Phillies in 82, and along with Ryne Sandberg, another great player that the Phillies dealt away from the team. And it's too bad because Julio had a pretty great career, I thought. I even think he's worthy of Hall of Fame consideration by a Veterans Committee at some point. And I guess this is probably the big card from the traded set. This would be Darryl Strawberry's rookie card. Now, again, Beckett would say 84 base set was his rookie card, but this predates it, so this to me is his rookie card. You could say XRC, but I don't know. I think that kind of stuff was just silly. So that is 1983 Topps and the 1983 Topps set. Let me know what your favorite card of the set is. Let me know what you think of the 1983 set. Do you think it's a great looking set? Do you hate the design? Do you love the design? Was there something Topps could have done better with it? How does it compare with Donruss and Fleer? Anything you want to talk about, go ahead and post in the comments. It would be nice to have a bit of conversation about this era in baseball cards. So I appreciate you taking the time to watch this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button. If you find this content interesting, check over my channel and see what else I have to offer. And if it looks like something you might like to watch when you have the time, please consider subscribing. I'd be happy to have you as a subscriber. So thanks a lot for watching. But beware if you do check some of the videos. I go a little weird in some of them. Well, you can tell there's a gnome sitting here. So on that note, hope you have a great day. Thanks again for watching. Beep beep, everybody.